I welcome you all to the 7th online lecture of the course, Engineering Thermodynamics. So we had started our discussion on the properties of pure substance in our last lecture. And if I just briefly recapitulate what we have done, let me just show you this property diagram. This is nothing but a pressure and temperature diagram. And in this pressure temperature diagram, what we have considered, we have actually plotted it on a semi-log graph paper. So you can clearly see the pressure is actually on a log scale and temperature is on a linear scale. Okay, so this particular graph includes the wide range of pressure and temperature in order to show all the different kind of phases, whatever we obtain in case of water. Okay, so for water already I have told you that solid, liquid and gas, these three are the main principal phases. Apart from that, particularly in the solid phase, what we have, in case of solid phase, we have few other molecular arrangement, few other crystal arrangements of ice. Okay, so therefore, and particularly these are nothing but homogeneous throughout. So therefore, these are also given a separate category of phases. So particularly in solid phase, we have defined ice into 7 different phases depending upon the conditions of pressure and temperature. Now we have one very important line. So this particular line over here, you can see this represents the transition from solid to liquid or liquid to solid. So this particular line is actually referred to as fusion line. Okay, then we have on this line over here, and in this particular line we have transition from liquid to vapor or vapor to liquid. So this particular line is something which is referred to as vaporization line. Okay, and this particular line ends at a point. This point is something which is known as critical point, and particularly for water, our pressure is 22.09 megapascal at critical point, and temperature is close to 374 degrees Celsius. Okay, then we have if we just cool our vaporization line. So if we just move in the lower values of temperature and pressures for vaporization line as well as for the solid liquid line, we will be finding a point where both these lines will be merging, and below that we will be finding that solid will be directly converting into vapor. So this particular line below the triple point, which is actually obtained after the solid and fusion and the vaporization lines has merged to a single line, this particular line is referred to as nothing but sublimation line. Okay, and triple point is a condition at which all the three phases of the water are in phase equilibrium with each other. Okay, and the temperature corresponding to triple point is 0.01 degrees Celsius and pressure is 0.6, close to 0.61 kilopascals. Okay, then similarly I have shown you the phase diagram for CO2. So for CO2 you can see this is the triple point and liquid, vapor, and you can see the critical point is actually very close. So for example, the temperature critical point is somewhere close to 305 Kelvin. So 305 Kelvin is nothing but close to something around 32 degrees Celsius. Okay, then we have this detailed temperature volume diagram, detailed TV diagram for our water. So in this detailed TV diagram, you can see that we are only representing the liquid vapor dome, and already I have told you that this particular line up to the critical point on the right hand side is something which is referred to as our saturated liquid line, and the line which is on the right hand side, which is referring to the transition in between superheated vapor and two-phase region, that particular line is known as saturated vapor line. So clearly you can see the point B, F and J are on saturated liquid line, and the point C, G and K are on saturated vapor line. Okay, and then we have few points A, E, I, M. These points are nothing but on the subcooled region or compressed region. Okay, and the point D, H, L, these are nothing but in superheated region, or I can also call it as rarefied gas region. Okay, now you can clearly see the different pressure lines I have plotted over here. So one of the pressure line is at 0.1 megapascals, then another is at 1 megapascal, then 10 megapascal, and then we have plotted a pressure line which is passing through pressure of 22.09 megapascals, and then one line is also plotted at 40 megapascals, which is beyond the actually critical point. Okay, now one of the consideration what I have done, particularly the fluid which is beyond this critical point, that particular fluid I have called as nothing but, if I once again plot it, so what we have, so if I plot the temperature and volume diagram, in case of temperature and volume, we have already seen that this is something which is our critical point, and beyond the critical point, whatever phase we are having, we are calling that as nothing but our dense fluid. Okay, so the reason for calling the dense fluid is that over here on the left of this saturated liquid line, we have pure liquid. On the right of saturated vapor line, we have pure vapor. Okay, and beyond the critical point, you can see clearly you will be finding the intersection of liquid and vapor zone, because over here everywhere you are having liquid, and in this particular right zone we are having vapor. Okay, so beyond the critical point, we will be finding some sort of intersection of the liquid and vapor dome. So what we say that beyond the critical point, one important point is that latent heat of vaporization is has vanished. So because of that, we say that there is instant transition from liquid phase to the vapor phase. Apart from that, also it is not exactly able to find out the state. So it may sometimes be liquid, but physically we have to actually see. Please mute your microphones. So what we have to do, we have to physically see that what kind of state we are having beyond the critical point. Okay, and obviously the transition from liquid to vapor will be instant. Now beyond the critical point, as you have already seen, our pressure will be nothing but greater than 22.09 megapascals. So that's why what will be happening, because of the very high pressure, whatever the fluid we are having, that will be actually in highly compressed state. Okay, so if we have some liquid, substance in highly compressed state, we will be calling that substance as nothing but our dense fluid. Okay, so that is what I want to show, that beyond the critical point, we have nothing but our dense fluid. Now, one important point you can clearly see from this TV diagram, particularly in the superheated vapor zone, you can see this pressure corresponding to 0.1 megapascal, and you can see the slope of line CD is actually very, very small. Okay, so it means in this particular zone, the effect on change of specific volume is actually very, very prominent. Okay, because why? Because we are having very, very low pressure. So because of the low pressure in this particular zone, temperature will be having dominance. So with the slight increase of the temperature, change of specific volume will be large, particularly for 0.1 megapascal. So you can see this line C to D is having actually very less slope. When we go to slightly higher pressure of 1 megapascal, then you can clearly see for slightly higher pressure of 1 megapascal, now this line G to H is having actually more slope. So the reason is that here effect of pressure is also now becoming important. So because of that, what will be happening? Anyhow, temperature will try to increase the specific volume, but at the same point of time, this pressure also will try to create some suppression. So because of that, significant change of temperature is required in order to significantly change the specific volume of the medium. Okay, and then if you go to K2L, then further slope is increasing. So it means particularly in case of superheated vapor region, if you keep on increasing the pressure, with increase of pressure, the slope of temperature volume curve is actually increasing. Okay, and if you clearly see in case of this one compressed or subcooled region, you will be finding that slope is almost same, and if you see at very micro scale, you will be finding that there is small change in slope with increase of pressure. Okay, but obviously whenever you will be because while you will be solving the numerical problems, you may have to refer to property tables, or you may have to obtain the values of the properties from the curve. So that's why this change of slope is so small that it will not be able to visible once we will be obtaining the properties. Okay, then so this is all about temperature volume diagram. Now one important point which I have missed, that is actually, if you see this saturated liquid line, the slope of saturated liquid line is actually high in comparison to the slope of the saturated vapor line. Okay, so what is the reason for that? Okay, so if you can see, let me once again explain it over here. So if you can see, in case of saturated liquid line, it is very steep, then it is reaching to critical point, and beyond the critical point, then vapor line is having actually less slope. So what could be the reason for this? So the reason is that in this particular saturated liquid state, so this line is nothing but locus of the saturated liquid states. Okay, so in this particular saturated liquid section, what will be happening? Effect of pressure will be negligible. So effect of pressure is negligible, and we will be having only the dominance of temperature. Okay, and moreover, our substance is actually of incompressible nature. So because of that, though temperature will try to increase the specific volume, but the increase of specific volume will not be very much significant. Okay, so that's why we'll be having very steep line over here. And however, if we talk about this particular right hand side line, so this is nothing but the locus of saturated vapor states. Okay, so it means the meaning of saturated vapor is we are having 100% vapor over here. So if we are having 100% vapor, which is actually compressible substance, so what will be happening in this particular zone? The effect of pressure will be more dominant in comparison to the effect of temperature. So that's why we will be having actually significant change of the specific volume upon increase of the pressure. Okay, so pressure will be having the effect to decrease the specific volume by significant amount. Okay, so that's why over here we are having actually this slope as less with reference to horizontal. Okay, now let us try to see. So this is all about the temperature volume diagram. Now let us try to see one important diagram which is actually referred to as pressure volume diagram, and in this pressure volume diagram we will be having actually constant temperature line. So let us first try to see how this diagram is actually plotted. Okay, so what we will be doing, we will be once again considering a situation where we are having, say, pressure along ordinate and volume along abscissa. Okay, now let me just plot the liquid vapor dome also over here. So the liquid vapor dome for this particular property diagram also somewhat looks like the temperature specific volume curve only. Okay, now let me consider a situation that I have a point somewhere in the subcooled state, and let me consider that this point is having some pressure, high pressure P1, okay, and say some temperature it is T1. Okay, now what will be happening, I will now try to release the pressure, and while I am releasing the pressure, I'll also add certain amount of heat in order to maintain the temperature at constant value if there is any fluctuation in the temperature. Okay, so once again what I have done, I have considered a piston cylinder system, and in this piston cylinder system actually I have put a number of weights over here. Okay, so a number of weights I have put over here, and these number of weights are nothing but contributing to very high pressure P1 inside. Okay, so inside we have some pressure T1. And let us consider the temperature inside is T1, and inside we are having nothing but pure liquid state. Okay. So once we are having inside pure liquid state, in that case, what will be happening? You can clearly see that our point will be somewhere over here on the property diagram. Okay. Now what I am doing, one by one, I am removing the weights. If one by one I remove the weight, what will be happening? There will be decrease of pressure. Okay. So there will be decrease of pressure. And moreover, what I am saying that if upon removal of the weight, there is any loss of temperature, that loss of temperature I'll be compensating with the help of addition of some heat. Okay, so heat only I'll be adding to maintain the value of temperature at T1. Okay, so that is one very important point you have to understand, that while this process is happening, we are trying to maintain the temperature at constant value and we are actually releasing the pressure. Okay, so now what will be happening? We'll keep on releasing this pressure by maintaining temperature at T1 only. Okay. Now we know that corresponding to this T1, we will be having some saturation pressure. Okay. So what is saturation pressure? Is nothing but the value of pressure corresponding to the saturated liquid or saturated vapor state. Okay. And obviously we have seen that whatever our saturation temperature is there, similarly the value of temperature at saturation liquid or vapor state is something which is known as saturation temperature. Okay. Now we already know that this temperature is nothing but a function of pressure. Okay. So temperature is nothing but a function of pressure. Particularly, I have to write over here saturation temperature, because we have seen in our earlier PT diagram that corresponding to 1 atmospheric, we were having 100 degrees Celsius. When we have increased the pressure, say up to 5 times of atmospheric pressure, our temperature was close to 151 degrees Celsius. So in that case, what we are doing, we are saying that saturation temperature is something which is a function of pressure. So now what we are doing, we are actually changing the pressure. Okay, so this our pressure is decreasing upon removal of the weights, and we are actually maintaining the temperature at constant value. Once we are releasing the pressure, so what will be happening? Though we are in the liquid phase where substance is actually incompressible, but still we were at very high value of pressure. So upon release of the pressure, we will be having actually very slight increase of the specific volume. So you can clearly see, while I have moved from point P1 to say some point, intermediate point small a over here, from point 1 to A, actually I have slight increase of the specific volume, and during this entire process my temperature is constant, so T1 is constant. Now we know that corresponding to this T1, we'll be having certain value of P saturation, and obviously that P saturation will be coming into picture once at T1 we are having some state of the saturated liquid at temperature T1. So this state A over here, you can clearly see that it is nothing but our situation of saturated liquid, and temperature is T1. So it means corresponding to this, whatever the pressure we will be having, that will be nothing but saturation pressure corresponding to the value of temperature T1. Okay. So now this T1 is actually corresponding to saturated liquid phase. So that's why we can say that our fluid, whatever is there inside this piston cylinder arrangement, that fluid is nothing but our saturation liquid state. Okay. So now what will be happening, if at this point we go, and if we try to go below this point means if I maintain the temperature at T1 only, and if I go for my value of pressure below this point, so in that case what will be happening, I cannot go below this point. Why? Because if I have to maintain the saturation state, then obviously the pressure has to be saturated pressure. Okay, so it means if I am releasing the weight, because of the release of the weight, physically there will be drop of pressure, but that drop of pressure has to be compensated by the formation of new vapor, which will be increasing the momentum of the molecules. Okay, so that is very, very important point. This point, once again, I am repeating that once we have reached the saturated liquid state, corresponding to that, if the saturated state has to be maintained, our pressure has to be P saturated. Okay. Now, if physically what I am doing, I am removing certain amount of vapor, sorry, certain amount of weight. So if I am removing certain amount of weight, obviously my pressure will try to go below the saturation pressure. So that is what I have represented over here by this small extension of the line beyond point A, beyond saturated liquid point. So you can see over here in this particular zone, what will be happening? We are having temperature which is showing the value of saturation pressure as P sat, but physically we have maintained the pressure slightly below the P sat. Okay, so under this condition, what will be happening? Under this particular condition, now our situation will be such that under this particular condition, our situation will be such that so some of the liquid has to convert into vapor, because when some of the liquid will be converting into the vapor, the overall momentum of the molecules which are there inside, that will be increasing, and that will try to increase the pressure and maintain its value at T saturation. Okay, so what I am saying that over here I have some liquid, and some of the liquid has actually started converting into vapor in order to increase the pressure, and in order to increase the pressure and maintain it at value of T saturation. Okay, so if we are having this phase transition over here from liquid to vapor phase, in this particular phase transition, in order to maintain temperature at constant value, we have to provide certain amount of heat. Okay, so what we have to do over here, we have to provide certain amount of heat in order to maintain the temperature at constant value, because while liquid will be converting into vapor, it will be taking certain amount of energy from this liquid only, whatever is there below in the liquid state only. So its temperature will try to fall. So because of that, we have to add certain amount of heat in order to maintain temperature at constant value. Okay, so it means instead of moving in downward direction, some vapor has started forming, which has actually maintained the pressure at P sat only, and we will be able to achieve this particular two-phase transition of our liquid, which will be completely converted into vapor then. Okay, now when we are having complete conversion of the liquid into vapor, that particular point we call as nothing but our saturated vapor state. And if we further release the pressure, upon further release of the pressure, now we have actually come to vapor state. Okay, so once we are in vapor state, vapor almost behaves like a gas. Okay, vapor almost behaves like a gas. So now once we are in vapor state, so what will be happening? If we are decreasing the pressure, further we are actually removing these weights. So removal of weight will actually decrease the pressure. So upon decrease of pressure, we will be having actually a significant increase in the specific volume if we maintain temperature at constant value. Okay, so this is nothing but I can call a constant temperature line over a PV diagram. Okay, so similarly, if I plot some another constant temperature line, so I'll be finding this line something like this, where my T2 is greater than T1. Okay, so similarly, if I repeat this experiment for different constant temperature lines, I'll be finally able to obtain the locus of all the saturated liquid curves, which will give rise to saturated liquid line. And for saturated vapor states, if I join the curve, I'll be finally finding nothing but my saturated vapor line. Okay, so now one important point you can clearly see over here, at same value of temperature T1, at high pressures, we are having presence of nothing but liquid phase. Okay, so at high pressures, we are having the presence of liquid if our for the same value of temperature. So that's why We call, depending upon the pressure, this stage as compressed liquid state also. Why calling compressed liquid state? Because our pressure is very high at the same value of the temperature, and if at the same value of the temperature our pressure is very low, our fluid is actually behaving like vapor, behaving like gas. So that's why what we will be doing, we may many times call this state as nothing state. Okay, why rarefied state? Because if we are having very low pressure, in that case gas molecules will be far apart, or vapor molecules will be far apart, and we will be having a situation of very thin gas. That's why we call this particular state as rarefied state also. Okay, now let me just show this PV diagram. So this particular PV diagram you can see over here. So over here we are having compressed liquid zone, and this superheated zone is also known as rarefied zone, and in between the saturated liquid and saturated vapor we have nothing but two-phase region. Okay, so two-phase liquid vapor region. We have critical point over here, and this is my constant temperature line T1. This is some another constant temperature line T2, for which temperature T2 is greater than T1. Okay, now let us try to see one important aspect over here, and that particular important point is actually referred to as PVT surface plot. So till now what I have done, I have tried to vary the two properties by maintaining third one as constant, and I have shown it on nothing but a 2D plot. Okay, now what we may do, we may have a situation where we are actually plotting this variation of properties for a wide range of combination of pressure, specific volume and temperature. So because of that, what we have to do, we have to actually plot the variation of properties corresponding to different physical states on some three-dimensional surface plot. Okay, so that three-dimensional surface plot is particularly referred to as PVT surface. So while we will be showing the PVT surface, we will be coming up with one important aspect, that we are having certain surfaces for which upon the conversion from liquid to vapor, we are having nothing but expansion. It means while the liquid is changing into the solid phase, we are having actually expansion, we are having increase of specific volume. So this particular point is actually true for water. However, for majority of the substances, we will be finding that once the conversion, once the fusion is happening from liquid to vapor, we will be having contraction of that particular phase, and we will be having decrease of specific volume. Okay, so now in my next slide, I have included a PVT surface, and this particular PVT surface is for a substance which expands on freezing. Okay, so you can clearly see over here, we are having pressure along this vertical axis, then we have volume along one of the horizontal axis, and temperature along the second horizontal axis. Okay, now you can see this is nothing but some surface. Okay, so this surface is actually our PVT surface, which represents the different properties. Now over here you can see this particular boundary over here of this surface is actually our saturated vapor line, and this is our critical point, and over here this is our nothing but saturated liquid line. Okay, and below that over here we have this particular boundary over here which represents the fusion. So this particular step, you can clearly see there is one step in this particular zone. So this step is actually showing the fusion line which represents the conversion from liquid to solid, and this particular line over here is nothing but a sublimation line which represents the transition from solid to vapor. Okay, so earlier you have seen in case of a PT diagram, while we were showing the triple point, it was appearing as a single point. Okay, however, if we see it on this our PVT surface, this triple point appears to be a line. So you can see this is nothing but our triple point line. So this is triple line, where across this line we may have the formation of three different phases in phase equilibrium. Okay, because below this over here you can see solid vapor, here you can see solid, here we are having pure liquid, here we are having vapor, and beyond the critical point we are calling some gas phase where liquid will be instantly changing into vapor phase. So that particular gas, because of the very high pressure, is also referred to as dense fluid. Okay. Now one important point you can clearly see over here, this state, so this particular line over here where actually I am trying to move my cursor, this particular line is corresponding to the saturated liquid point. Okay, so if any liquid has to convert into vapor, this liquid will be actually coming to this solid zone. Sorry, if any liquid has to convert into solid, so this liquid from this particular zone, it will be actually entering to this solid zone over here. Okay, now you can clearly see that when we are having transition from liquid to vapor, we have this small step over here. So you have to clearly follow this step. Okay, so this is a small step over here which represents the transition from liquid phase to solid phase. So whatever this dotted line is presented, this dotted line is presented to represent a hidden phase over here. So we have some hidden phase over here, and that hidden phase is nothing but that is actually our solid plus liquid region. Okay, so this is one important point. What I am trying to say, if you follow my cursor, I have one dashed line over here. Okay, so this dashed line is actually partially shown. This dashed line is actually throughout till the bottom. So if you see this dashed line and if you follow this particular small step, you will be finding that we are having some hidden phase over here which shows the transition from solid to liquid phase, and that particular hidden phase is nothing but the two phase region in between the solid and liquid. Okay, now if you see that we are having some solid at this particular corner, some liquid at this particular corner point. So the corner which is towards the left side, that particular corner is actually our liquid state, and the corner which is on the right hand side, that particular corner which I am actually showing with this pointer. So this is nothing but my solid. Okay, so the corner behind is actually our liquid and the corner in front is our actually solid. So now you can clearly see while this liquid will be changing into solid, we are actually moving towards right hand side along the volume axis. So it means upon conversion of liquid to solid, we are having actually increase of specific volume. Okay, so any type of substance for which upon conversion from liquid to solid phase, we are having actually increase of specific volume. That particular case is something which is referred to as the case of expansion upon freezing. Okay, now let me tell you one very important concept. That the important concept is that water is a substance which while converts from liquid to vapor phase, liquid to solid phase, it actually expands on freezing. Okay, so it expands on freezing. This is one of the important reason that our ice floats on water. Okay, so this is very important point you have to see. For example, if I illustrate with the help of one schematic, say this much amount, this is my mass of water, and this mass of water is now in liquid phase. Okay, now if I convert this mass of water, if I have this fusion process and if I convert this mass of water into vapor, I'll be finding that same mass of water in solid phase will be actually occupying more amount of volume. So you can clearly see the mass of water is same. Now it is in solid phase, but here if we were having VL as the volume in the liquid phase, in case of solid phase now volume will be VS, and Vs will be greater in comparison to Vl. If Vs is greater in comparison to Vl, in that case, what has happened? Our density of ice, okay, density of ice has gone below density of water in liquid state. Okay, so this is one important point, because our water expands on freezing. So because of that, what happens? For same amount of mass, whatever the volume it was occupying in the liquid phase, it will be occupying more volume while it will be converting into solid phase. So because of that, what will be happening? Our density of ice will be less in comparison to density of the liquid. As the density of ice is less in comparison to the density of the liquid, so because of that, what will be happening? Because of that, we will be finding that our ice will always float over the liquid surface. Okay, so now you can clearly see that our ice is actually in nature. If you see, take the example from the nature, frozen lakes, etc., frozen rivers, etc., you will be finding that frozen layer of the water is actually on the top surface of that water body. Okay, now if you consider, so you have to remember over here that this is inherently the property of water, which is actually making many things in the nature to happen in the way these are happening. Okay, otherwise what could have happened if we are having contraction of the vapor phase? In that case, what will be happening? Contraction upon fusion. In that case, what will be happening? The ice would have actually stayed at the bottom of the water body, and because of that, our sunlight could not be able to reach particularly the locations over there, and the aquatic life would have been completely different. Okay, so this is the PVT surface for substances actually which expands on freezing. Now one important thing we can do, that if I take the projection of this particular plot, so this is nothing but a three-dimensional plot. Now if I take the projection of this plot along the temperature axis, I'll be finding nothing but my pressure and volume plot. Okay, so what I am doing actually, I am looking from this direction along the temperature. Okay, so if I look along this particular direction, along the inner direction of temperature, I'll be finding projection of the plot as nothing but my pressure volume plot. Okay, so you can see this projection diagram is represented over here. So I have pressure, I have specific volume, and this is our liquid vapor dome, and this is our actually transition line from solid liquid phase to liquid phase, and this dotted line is nothing but our transition from solid to solid plus liquid, and this dotted line basically is trying to show the hidden phase which we were not able to see in case of our three-dimensional plot. Okay, then we have next diagram. So this particular diagram, this particular PVT surface is for substances which actually contracts on freezing. So if any substance which will be contracting on freezing, there will be decrease in its specific volume. Okay, so you can see this is my vapor line, saturated vapor line. Then I have saturated liquid line over here. Then this is my sublimation line, which represents the transition from solid to vapor, and this is my triple point line, triple line. And then what we are having, this is our surface over here, which shows the solid liquid two-phase region. So that's why you can clearly see for this particular substance, if I have a liquid, so liquid will be having specific volume somewhere over here, and if I have conversion of liquid into solid, so I'll be having specific volume somewhere over here. So it means for this particular substance, when the transition is happening from liquid to solid phase, in that case what we are having actually contraction of the phase. Okay, so there is decrease of the volume. Okay, so in this particular diagram, you can clearly see that the phase whatever I am trying to show earlier for liquid solid liquid transition zone, that is actually clearly visible. Okay, now once again, if you take the projection of this particular line, this particular diagram along the direction of temperature, we will be finding diagram something like this. So here we are having clearly visible phase. Okay, and you can clearly see when this liquid will be converting into solid, we are having actually decrease of specific volume. Okay, now if for this PBT surface you take the projection along the direction of volume, you will be finding that substance, if you plot the PT diagram, you will be finding that the substance which contracts on freezing, for that our this transition line, fusion line will be actually towards the right side, and the substance which contracts on freezing, for it actually which expands on freezing, for it this transition fusion line will be actually towards the left. So that's why if I take now my projection along the volume axis, so I'll be having nothing but my pressure temperature plot. So in case of pressure temperature plot, we will be finding our plot something like this. So this is my pressure temperature, this is sublimation line, this is vaporization line, and fusion line. If we are having substance which contracts on freezing, for it will be having a slope towards right, and if we are having a substance which expands on freezing, it will be having slope towards left. Okay, so this is our PT curve for a generalized substance. However, depending upon the nature of substance, if it will expand or it will contract upon freezing, we will be having actually different slopes of the fusion line. Okay, now after this, let me just give you a very brief idea about the two-phase region. So till now what I have done, till now I have actually given you the idea about the different property diagrams, and then I have actually shown you that what we are having how our different property diagrams actually look, and what are the properties of the substance associated, because of which we are having that typical nature of our property diagram. Okay, now one additional thing I want to show over here, that additional thing is nothing but my two-phase region. Okay, so here what we will try to do, we will not go into much details of the solid to liquid two-phase region, because in thermodynamics majority of our problems will be related to the liquid vapor phase. So that's why we will concentrate ourselves on the liquid vapor phase only. Okay, so what we are having in case of two-phase zone, this is my temperature axis, this is my volume axis, and this is my liquid vapor dome. And we have seen already that at this particular point our entire mass is nothing but in liquid phase, and at this particular point our entire mass is in vapor phase. Okay, and in between these two we are having actually combination of liquid plus vapor. Now the point comes that how to characterize the property of any substance which is there in between the liquid vapor dome. Okay, so what I am doing, I am now taking one consideration that I have a container, and in this container, say I have some amount of liquid over here. Okay, I have some amount of liquid and I have some amount of vapor also. Okay, now obviously you will be finding that because vapor will be having low density, so because of that vapor will be accumulated on the top portion of the container, and liquid because of the high density will be at the bottom portion. Okay, now let me define that capital M is the total mass, capital V is the total volume, and let me consider that the volume occupied by the liquid is VL and volume occupied by gaseous phase is say Vg. Okay, so in that case what will be happening, if I try to write down the total volume V, my total volume V will be nothing but equal to volume of liquid plus volume of gas. Now let us consider that M is my total mass, and M is also equal to nothing but mass of liquid plus mass of gas. And let us consider that small VL and small Vg are nothing but the specific volumes of liquid and vapor phase. Okay, so now what will be happening? I know that my volume is nothing but mass into specific volume. So my total volume is, say, total mass m, and some small v I am defining as nothing but my total specific volume for the combination of liquid and vapor. Okay, so m into v will be equal to ml into vl plus mg into Vg. Now what I can do, m into V, I can write this ml as nothing but m minus mg. Okay, from this particular equation, I can write ml as m minus mg times VL plus mg into Vg. Okay, now if I divide throughout by mass, I'll be finding that specific volume, total specific volume of the liquid and vapor combination will be 1 minus mg by m times VL plus mg by m times Vg. Now this mg by m we call as nothing but our x, and x is referred to as dryness fraction. So the definition of x is nothing but dryness fraction, and the definition of x is mass of vapor, mass of gaseous phase present in total mass of the mixture. So m is nothing but total mixture mass, and mg is the mass of the gaseous phase or the vapor phase. So this we are defining as x. Because of that, what will be happening? My V total of the liquid vapor mixture will be nothing but equal to 1 minus x times of VL plus x times of Vg. Okay. So from this particular point, you can clearly see that when we are having the mixture of liquid and vapor, then obviously this liquid will be having some different density, some different specific volume VL, and this vapor will be having some different specific volume VV. Okay, but if we try to take the volumetric average based on the if we try to take the weighted mass average based on the mass of the liquid and vapor, we'll be finding that overall for this particular fluid, I can define specific volume as some value small v. Okay. So this small v actually is nothing but a representative case of total specific volume of this mixture. Now what I will do, I will stop at this point, and further I'll take up this discussion from the discussion of two-phase region because here we are having very important points which I need to specify. So it's now time for your next lecture. So that's why I am stopping at this point.